So lonesome I could cry. Little diddly I learned how to play not that long ago. It was an old song, but it's a solo podcast today, so I felt a little lonesome. Nobody here to talk to. I want to do something a little different. I've had 23 episodes at this point. This is number 24. And I've had different guests from different backgrounds, whether it be metal. I got a folk singer, friends, lots of episodes with the Carl, going through our memories, going through some of our stories that we've always enjoyed. And people in local bands here in North Carolina, a few from other states. And, you know, I've really enjoyed that. It's been fun. I appreciate all the guests. I appreciate everyone who's been watching and listening. And we just got the YouTube going. I'll try to keep those every week with the podcast. But what I kind of wanted to talk about was, why did I want to do a podcast? And what is it that motivates me? And what am I trying to accomplish? And, you know, through all these podcasts, like I said, I've really enjoyed them, but it just feels like a task. That's not what I wanted out of this. I wanted it to mean something to me. And I feel like I'm just repeating the same stuff as far as, you know, tell us about yourself. Here is what we want to do, what the band wants to do, you know, and then chit chat for a few minutes, and that's it. And between that and also having I don't know if it's something that's been painted on me, or if it's just something that's been happening sporadically, but I feel like I'm still talking about how I feel about Spotify and how I feel about, you know, modulation compared to real amps. And, you know, this podcast was supposed to be about what inspires us, what music means to us, what we want to do, what music makes us want to do. You know, and I as these episodes have went along, like I said, it just felt like it become a task, that it is something that I'm going down a path I don't want to go. I don't want to be a spokesperson. I don't want to be a promoter. I don't want to be anything but someone sharing his love of music and trying to connect with people with what inspires them to play, what motivates them to play or create. And I think that over time, I just got so caught up in the make sure I got a guest, make sure that I got this in order and this in order, that it became a routine, that I made it a job. Same thing I was guilty of with my band. And I started to lose passion and started to lose focus. And, you know, kind of what I've been doing lately is I've been doing a lot of documentaries, and I watched a really good one called The Gift on Johnny Cash. It's on YouTube. It was made by his kids. I Walk the Line obviously was a Hollywood elaboration, but it's a great documentary. And what I see through his career is someone who come in this, as a kid, and he was so swept up with the fame. Everything happened so fast. And you get on that drug route, and everything goes so crazy for so long, and then his career crumbles. And he gets off the drugs, he gets clean. And his career starts to take off again with the recording of Folsom Prison. At this point, he's been almost 20 years in. And that reignites his career, and everything goes great in the 70s. He gets his own show. It was a redemption story. I mean, this young artist who went into a life of excess, everything kind of spun out of control, and he hits rock bottom, this is where the movie leads into. It goes all the way up to that point, and it's still a pretty good loose adaptation. But once he decides to record Folsom Prison, that's when he becomes Johnny Cash, and that's when he becomes that icon with that album recorded in a prison, and that's kind of where the movie ends. Him and June gets married, but there's still more. His career, again, it takes off again. He gets his own show, changes his life around. In late 70s, he has an injury that I can't recall exactly what it was, but it was I think it was a back injury, and put him on pills. Well, he's an addict, so what does he do? He goes right back down riding the dragon, and he gets hooked on pain pills. And this is the 70s, late 70s, and then the 80s. His life's been out of control again. And he couldn't, country music turned their back on him. The record labels wouldn't do nothing with him. And he gave up doing music. And at this point, he's failed twice. He redeemed himself, and then he failed again. And at this point, he's in his 60s, late 50s, early 60s is when Johnny Cash, the American Recordings with Rick Rubin happened. And Rick reignited his career. He come to Johnny Johnny's a broken man. And the documentary even shows this, that at one point he's playing a fair, like state fairs, and there's like 15 people in the crowd. They show the video of it. And his career hits rock bottom again, after all of that for him. When his career hits rock bottom, Rick Rubin comes into the picture. He says, Johnny says, "Hey, what are you going to do with me that no one else has ever did?" And Rick said, "I want to record you, just you and your guitar in my living room. You sing whatever you want to sing." He'd always wanted to be a gospel singer. At that point, he had got to do it. But he always knew his strong suit was his voice. And Rick saw that too. So they sat in Rick's room and they recorded, I can't remember how many songs. And it's just Johnny sitting on Rick's couch with a guitar, a microphone, and himself. And he does American Recordings 1, and his career reignites again. So it's double redemption. And then I see his career just take off from there again. And then of course at this point he's reaching his late 60s. He's still recording with Rick. I think he hits 71 and June dies. And I think it's 2 days after the funeral. June had told him before she died that, not to sit around and mope, to get back in the studio and work. Pour yourself into your work. And so what happened is Johnny goes 3 days after she dies and is back in the studio. And at this point, Johnny's in terrible health. He's got diabetes. I think he's had a stroke at this point. But this is around the time you see the Hurt video. It was right before June passed. And you see how broken he is. And there's some cool YouTube videos out there of Johnny's last performance, Johnny's last interview with MTV. And you can see the hope gone. You know, he even says at one point, hey, you know, my time is short. I'm on borrowed time. You know, I'll be gone soon. And he's given up. But he still poured himself into his music. To the day he died, the man was rock and roll. He was everything. And he always did it the way he wanted to do it. That famous Johnny Cash sound, boom chicka boom chicka boom chicka boom chicka, that chugging like a train was because they weren't good. That's all they could play. The bass player couldn't do nothing but doom doom doom. And then you got the guy on the Telecaster, who's playing the leads and the melody. And Johnny Cash puts paper in his strings and basically playing acoustic harmonics. And it gives you that train sound. And that was merely because they were not a good band. But he had something special. And I kind of got off on a rant, but going through over the past couple of months, you know, I've been thinking and working on different kinds of music and listening to the podcast and thinking what I want to do with it, where I want to go, and, you know, kind of setting goals for myself. And I looked at the podcast and I'm like, I'm not happy. You know, I don't want to do this. So I go down this hole of watching these documentaries and looking at people that feel something for music, that you see that they live it, they are it. And I think through that I realized I'm not doing what I should be doing beneficially. I'm not making the music. I'm writing these riffs, and getting inspired by different styles of music and incorporating into what I do. And these ideas are like, it's a million miles a minute, you know, country, folk, western, blues, rock and roll, Gojira, all of that stuff is just spinning in my head. And I can't get the music out fast enough that I'm already infested with something else. I'm going to say over the past year, I've wrote 30 songs. And I had planned to start releasing singles. And we got all these songs and videos and ideas and all these styles, and I still want to do that. But with that, I don't feel any pressure. With the music side of it, it's I'm doing what I love, regardless if I'm releasing it. It doesn't matter if I release it or not. You know, I'm enjoying it. If I get to a point where I'm done enjoying it, I may release it for free, you know, wherever. I don't care about any royalties and crap like that. Anybody wants to use it or riffs of it, it don't matter to me. Just share it. It's like a book, you know. I'm finished with it. I'm done with it. I share it. You can listen to it, like it, don't like it, don't, you know, it doesn't matter. If one person likes it, then that's awesome. You know, maybe I can, if my music gets to someone and it makes them feel a certain way, whatever that emotion is, you know, and they connect to it. If it's just one person, I'm cool with that. I'm done with any of that excess. But I think moving forward, to stay that inspired, I can't let this podcast weigh me down. And not from a creative standpoint, but from another job, So my band stopped being fun. It was a job. Yeah, I don't want it. I'm just not that kind of person. When it gets to a point that I'm doing something for someone besides myself, I don't want to do it anymore. And I don't mean that in a selfish way. I just mean that from a musical standpoint, if I'm having to settle with what I'm pouring everything I have into, then it's a job. If I'm allowing something to interfere with that, and I'm not saying just people, it's just, me spending 10 hours a day on Facebook or Instagram or social media promoting, share, invite, comment, and just so I can keep you in my algorithm, doing all of that just ain't for me. I'm not criticizing anyone who does that. Your life, man. Do whatever you want. But what I am saying is that it's not for me. I started with a band from scratch and never wanted to do anything with it. And by the end, I had accomplished more things that if you'd told me as a kid I would have accomplished any of those things, much less all of those things, I told you were full of shit. And, I think that's probably a good thing in the aspect of a feeling of accomplishment, but a bad thing is that I sacrificed so much that I shouldn't have. I sacrifice things that make me happy just for, some kind of clout, or just for some kind of, I recorded at this studio, or I did this, and I felt like my ego and all was getting to that. And you have to exploit yourself in every way, because that's what I look at clout chasing is exploitation of yourself. You're selling a part of yourself and they're spending their attention. And if you like that, cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, do what you do, but it's not for me. My happiness spun out of control. And because of that, I chose, I just do what makes me happy, regardless of trying to gain anything. The podcast, I share once a week. The day it comes out, I share it, and I'm done. I don't check stats. I don't chase algorithms. I don't see how many plays I get or anything like that. I may glance as I'm uploading new episodes, but I don't care, because I've had a few people hit me up and tell me how much they enjoy the show, and that's cool. Awesome. If nobody else listens, I'm making it for you too. That's fine with me, but I have to do that in a way I feel like I'm being honest with myself and being true to myself. And just doing this whole interviewee kind of thing is not what I want to do. And I'm not blaming anyone who's been on the show. It's all me. I'm the host. It's my job to set the mood of the conversation. You're a guest. You're here to have a conversation with me. I am the host, and I need to hold myself responsible for the way the episodes have gone. There's been some great episodes. Don't get me wrong. I'm not shitting on anybody who's been on the show. I'm being hard on myself. What I try to tell young bands or anybody I've talked to who's wanting to start a podcast, and you just got to do it. Just do it, regardless of it's gonna suck, And I tell these people asking for advice that if people aren't listening to your show, what can I do to get more followers? What can I do to get more views? Put out better content. That's it. That's the only trick. There's nothing else is gonna make you succeed if the talent isn't there. And trust me, this is not a talent per se, but there's a reason some people, like a Joe Rogan or, a Guys We Fucked or any of these other huge podcasts, they started out just talking shit, and you can't just wake up and get to that point. You can't buy that. You can fluff it all you want to, but no matter how high you get, if you can't stand on your own feet, you're just gonna crumble. That's why you see these people pop up with, "Oh my God, look how great everything is doing," and then the next day it's over. But the fame thing ain't for me. The amount of viewers I get or anything like that, that's irrelevant. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you subscribing. Everybody that watches the show, and if you've ever felt like you connected with what I'm saying, or you felt like you want to have a conversation over an opinion or whatever, I welcome, message me. We'll talk about it, but from this point, I think I'm going to take a few episodes to kind of figure out again what exactly it is I want out of this. And I've got a pretty good idea, and doing a few solo podcasts will help me work through that. And this also holds myself accountable, because my word means a lot to me. And if I say I'm going to do something, I want to follow through. And if I put this out here like this, I'm holding myself accountable, because the beautiful thing about what we get to do as artists is we're putting our opinions, our souls in our music, or our paintings or whatever. But this audio and video, how cool would it be to see our grandparents in this light, get to hear who they were because they have a podcast, or get to hear what kind of music they were influenced by because their recordings are out there. Be able to say my grandpa was in a band, he was on this magazine cover, those kind of things I cherish, because we all have people in our lives that we always wonder, what if we lose someone, and you wonder what it would have been like. That's something we can leave in our legacy for our kids and for our grandkids. And money, success, notoriety, that's temporary. You know, you can get up there and have it, especially in today's climate, get it destroyed so easily. You know, this savage world of cutthroat, and it's not worth it. It's more, just enjoy what you do. Don't feel obligated to keep up with the Joneses. Feel obligated to do what you feel like you want to do. Because if we die tomorrow, you know, are we at the point where we feel like what we leave behind matters? Because I try to live every day with the thought that how I feel about my grandfather or my great grandfather or even people that I just didn't spend the time with today. You know, if I leave, will my kids have to feel that way? And, you know, each day I strive for that. And what I leave behind is my kids having my family generations having a touch to who I was. So I appreciate everyone who listens. I appreciate everyone who watches, puts up with my stutters and my ums and I thanks and forgetting what I'm talking about. You know, but I enjoy doing this. I'll keep doing it as long as it's fun. And I hope you all still enjoy the show. Hope this episode was cool for you. Again, reach out. My social media is set to 1 hour a day. That's all social media. So I have a small window, and they all share 1 hour. I cut my phone shuts off just so I can keep my sanity. But please, I'd love to reach out. We can chat. And we can share stories. Tune in next week. We'll have something new to talk about. Thanks, everybody. Peace.